Okay, I haven't scripted any of this out, so we'll see how it goes. Momentum is everything. When I first came to London, I lost all of that. All of the clients I'd built up, all of the colleagues and connections I'd built up in Australia were largely meaningless. Coming to a new city where I knew effectively no one, had no connections, nothing lined up. It took me months before I could land my first job, before I could then from that start getting repeat clients, in which now, in February, I've had my most successful month ever. Once you reach a certain point, you no longer have to put work in anymore, or at least the effort required drops significantly. The hardest part of any journey is kickstarting the car into action, into that momentum, which drives more momentum. When you start working for people and you start delivering results, they start recommending you to others. I received a text just 2 hours ago from someone I have never met before saying, "Hey, this other person recommended you, they said you can help me out." I was talking to a colleague today about, looking at so many other people and seeing all of their projects take off, that they launch some project and are pretty much going from zero to something instantaneously. And her reiterating the fact that actually that is not the case. While it may look like they come out of nowhere, there is huge amounts of support behind the scenes or other things that are happening that means they've got a huge head start. With all the projects that I'm doing in the creator space, much of that is from ground zero, is from nothing. So it will take a lot more for me and a lot more work for us to move these things forward. What I've realized a lot within my current career position is I'm in the point of building out a network and building out brand that we may not be deriving huge amounts of revenue, still having to freelance to survive, as I stated in my last video, but we're figuring out who we are, who we want to be, and the impacts that we want to have. In the beginning of my content journey, I would see other people who started at the same time rocked way ahead, but they had that sorted out from the get-go, exactly who they were talking to, and the type of content they were going to produce. But when I'm experimenting, where I'm just trying to figure out myself, being a number of years younger than those people were, obviously, how on earth will someone know what I'm producing and why they should stick around? But over the past year, as I've worked with a ton of creators, traveled across the world to pursue this craft and pursue this dream, it has become much clearer exactly what journey we are on and what problems we are trying to solve and the people we are trying to help. For one, having to finally support yourself fully and entirely forces yourself into a different mindset, because either you get moving or you starve. Additionally, because it paired up a lot with myself figuring out my journey, launching the first magazine, I would give this first magazine to my industry colleagues and friends, and they would post about it unprompted. They would say, "Look at this cool thing." There was something about it that wanted them to associate with the product and spread it. While no sales specifically came from those mentions, it's still a sign that something is working, that something is in the right place. And as I attended a ton of creator events in New York and then in London, events that I had no business being in because I'm from the outside appear as if I'm the smallest person in the room, even if, my skill sets, I would work with these people on a freelance level. But on a creator level, I was still able to hold my own despite having far smaller numbers because I could bring something to the table. Because when they asked, "Who are you? What do you do?" Not in like a corny transactional sense, but even just in a genuine sense, like, who are you? I had it back in 2023 when I was in South Africa and ran into Sam Calder and Chelsea Yamasir. That name might not mean much to you, but if it does mean something to you, it'll mean a fair bit. And I was asked, same sort of thing, so what do you do? And I couldn't really give an answer. I'm like, I kind of do a bit of photography, I kind of do a bit of that, I kind of do a bit of that. And you make yourself the most forgettable person in the world. But since then, I was like, okay, I need actually something lined up that I can give to people. And saying, hey, this is who I am. I moved from Sydney to London. I do this thing. And they're like, cool, I'm interested in that thing. Let's talk about it. And that makes you more memorable, more interesting, and much easier to make friends because you are someone that sticks out in their mind. And even though you don't have the same following, you are speaking the same language. When you watch interviews with those Hollywood stars, the ones that they're most excited about is when a true film nerd comes on to ask them questions, because they can finally geek out over unique, nuanced, niche knowledge, ideas and thoughts that are not being asked by the typical gossip magazine columns. But the point being, momentum begets momentum. As I've felt things speed up over the past couple of weeks, as I've launched my newsletter, as I've worked more and more freelance gigs, as I've got more opportunities to film with creators at their events documenting their journeys, it really feels like we're on the right path, making the right moves, that things are moving in the right direction. When I was on a group call with Cleo Abram last year, and I asked her a question about having seen tons and tons of sparks within my content, the odd videos going viral, the odd discussions that were intriguing, and her reiterating to try and find out what is within that really holds on to people. And I think we are discovering exactly what that is and really trying to double down on it.
A stagnant channel with sparks of high attention is a really interesting place to be because you're receiving information about what's doing well. The thing I would not do is to continue to do exactly the same thing and receive those sparks of high attention only ever so often. Continuing to experiment is great, iterating on information that you're getting. So what's receiving the high attention? Why? Do you really feel like it's random? Or if you watched all of the high performing ones in order and then all of the low performing ones in order, then you find that there's something really quite different about those things.
Now that I'm in this semi-permanent place in London, I just checked out the local gym today to see how it is. Really cheap, funny enough. I'll take it, but it hopefully gives me the opportunity to have a routine. That means I can just keep putting out the content that you want to see, the content that hopefully can continue delivering value. Having the routine every single Tuesday with the newsletter, where we talk about the new media space and its effect on society and culture, what it means for the future, and what we can do about it. We will keep this treadmill going. We will try and keep this momentum going to hopefully bring more people with us and, like a snowball, build up as we run down this hill. Once you get to a certain level, as I was talking with freelance, you are no longer the one having to run around and beg. When I first got here, I sent out hundreds of emails and messages. At some point at the end of last year, I had a kid come up to me in Leicester Square. He's like, "Oh, are you a photographer? How do I get into this space?" I'm just like, "You can't." It was a harsh first statement. But then you add the elaboration. It's just tough because everyone can do it. And you're begging, you're fighting for scraps just to get portfolio, just to get experience. But once you get above that crowd, it becomes so much easier because you find the people who are wanting quality work, not just cheapest things possible. They are the ones reaching out to you rather than you begging at their heels. And with content, it will be the same thing. At some point, hopefully, people will want to work more and more often with this channel. We're not the ones having to do the reach outs. People will be coming here saying, "Please, we have something interesting. Would you like to document it?" Or if we do reach out, the people are just as excited to work with us as we are to work with them. With the Sticks boys that I'd love to interview at some point, two Aussies who went over to the US and started making trailers for YouTubers as if it was a full feature film. When they first started, people didn't really know who they were, so they didn't care. But then they started proving themselves and showing how amazing their films were, getting people involved. So much so that the few recent videos that they have put out, the YouTubers are super excited and hyped to be a part of it, that something so incredible has been made for them, has been made with them, and then they get to be a part of something special. This is where we hope to head to. I've got a plan ahead, a routine that, hopefully, if followed, should once again keep this treadmill going and continue to build our community to what I know it can be. And whether it be in your own lives or someone around you, just know that all you have to do is kickstart the car and everything becomes so much easier. It may take a while to kickstart the car. You don't know exactly when it's going to get into gear, but once it does, that's all you need to do. And sure, it may stall a couple times along the way, but then you have done it before. You know exactly what it takes and how to do it even faster for next time. And you won't be alone. You'll have people with you who can help you out, colleagues and friends who can assist you on that journey, who can make sure that you've gone faster than you ever have before. One of my colleagues that I'm working with at the moment, his whole goal is to build a community for independent creators, trying to give people that community, those friendships, those relationships who don't have their own. That is the most important thing we can have in this world, because they are the most important people who can help us get up to speed and fulfill the journey and go down the road we know we can. So I shall leave you with that. If you want to sign up to the Creators Trove newsletter, where you'll receive one email every Tuesday, please click the link down in the description. And if you want to watch more videos from me, I recommend clicking this link right here. And until next time.